Welcome back to Nothing But Nets. I'm joined with my NBA analyst, Nate. We're going to get into whether or not Sean Marks waited too long again. Before we get into that, Nate, introduce yourself and how's everything going?
Pretty busy couple of weeks, Gary, but it's nice to catch up again. I always love talking any sports with you, and it's fun to be in the middle of unfortunately no longer baseball season for us, but we're right in the midst of it with our Jets and Nets now. I mean, the Nets might be as close as they're going to be to first place all season, so it's an exciting time.
um, exciting time for the Nets. Um, they're 0-2 and they've lost by only a total
As
of
close as they'll be
what?
to first place, Gary. They're still in the
It's,
playoff
it's,
hunt as of now.
they have not been eliminated mathematically yet. Uh,
Yep.
and the Mets season was a fairy tale that came to an end. But it's like when you score a chick way out of your league. Just remember the good times. That was a heck of a ride. I told you after Lindor hit that home run, the Mets are definitely going to get swept by Milwaukee. You're like, don't be a hater. I'm like, I'm not. They're just definitely going to get swept by Milwaukee. And then
Hey, Gary,
Alonso.
it's the right analogy, but like you said when we were off air about the Yankees, like it's the chick out of your league, but you still don't want her to end up with your stepbrother afterwards. Like if the Yankees win it still would put a be like, all right, I didn't get her, but you didn't have to do that to me,
he
bro.
can't happen. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see. Go
all
Dodgers.
right. Go Dodgers is right. I want to get into Cam Thomas. He's been a top. He's always a polarizing player. There are many different views on Cam Thomas. From he's going to be one of the great scorers in the league, to unnamed GM said not even for the league's minimum would I go near him. So this is a guy that is clearly the best scorer on the Nets. He's really the only scorer on the Nets. We've had a conversation as who's going to be second on the Nets in points per games, and no one really has a good idea. He's obviously very important to the Nets. He's also got this reputation. I want to start with that as he's only a scorer and he shoots too much and he never passes the ball and he's just a high volume, low efficiency shooter. What are your kind of thoughts on that reputation? Is it fair or is it a little unfair?
Well, I mean, you said he's a polarizing figure. I'm probably the perfect example of who you want to talk to because I was don't sign Cam most of the offseason when we spoke. And then I don't know if you remember going into the season, one of our last shows, I was like, just bite it. Just this is there's too much positive and there's too much upside to what you're gonna lose. Like at worst, in my opinion, he's a a poor man's Lou Will. We've talked about all the comparisons where even if you do give him the money he's asking for, that's a tradable contract to most teams. Like I'm sure there's one GM that wouldn't sign him, but there's 25 others that would sign him for a minimum. So there's one guy you're not negotiating with. But yeah, I'm especially if he can. I think I said this last time we talked about Cam. If his 3-point shooting will change everything. You know, if he's able to shoot the three, it changes who he is as a player. If he's a 6'3" mid-range assassin one-on-one player that doesn't play defense or help his teammates, then there's not going to be as much he can help a team. But if he can just stretch the floor and even off the ball be a threat and knock on wood after as of 2 games he's looked all right from distance and not on a ridiculous volume of shots. Um, that will certainly change things. But one thing with Cam Thomas that I've noticed this year that I've liked a little bit, like he's never going to be an elite defender. We can agree on that, right? But defense takes a lot of effort and a lot of focus. Two things that you can control as a player. And if you can see Cam Thomas bring some type of effort and focus to where he's supposed to be, what gap he's supposed to be in, and just even on when it's stunting to help a guy who's rolling and putting a body on him, I've seen a little more focus and energy, and I like all right, control the controllables, Cam. I like seeing that, but to answer your question, yeah, maybe like I said, last day before the season, I would have signed Cam. I was on board with you. You swayed me to give him the money. Worst comes to worst, it's a tradable contract. He's still a bench scorer. Best case scenario, you got your wingman to Ace or whoever it's going to be next year for years to come on a pretty decent budget deal.
You mentioned the 3-point shooting. He is shooting 55.6%. He's 10 for 18 so far from three this season, which is obviously, I mean, it's just 2 games,
Was it
very small
18?
sample.
I didn't realize it was 18.
Yeah, it's 10 for 18 from three this year. So He shot the ball well from deep. He's averaging 30 a game. He played one of the better defenses yesterday and still took over in the second half. How good of a scorer can he be? I mean, throughout the course of a season, he's going to have 40-point games. He's going to have 2 for 12 games. We know that. Over the course of a season, how reliable of a scorer do you think Cam Thomas can be? Specifically against, better teams.
I mean, this is the beauty of it. We're gonna find out because, like you said, who's there to help him? He has no help. He's on a roster where it's Cam Thomas on Monday, Cam Thomas on Tuesday, Cam Thomas on Wednesday. Like it's gonna be the Cam Thomas show. He's gonna have the ball in his hands. He's gonna get shots up, whether his first shot falls or not. He's gonna be getting his shots up. So, um, we're in the position to find out. Who are you going to help off of on the Nets right now? Is Schroeder getting hot and have a 15, 17-point night? Like we're going to find out. That's the exciting part about live sports. He's in the perfect situation to answer that question. I think he can be. He's showed it through 2 games. Defenses will key more and more on him. I think we heard not to bring up basketball podcasts that don't know anything, but I think Bill Simmons, I sent you that clip. He mentioned that teams wouldn't even double Cam because they'll just say, you do you and we'll live with it. I think we're going to find out soon that he's a much better one-on-one scorer than the rest of the layman's around the league thinks, and you're going to have to predicate your defense on it, especially if you're looking at a roster with the current roster the Nets have. You have to make anyone else beat you.
Oh. I want to bring that up real quick. Hang on. Give me 1 second. Because Nate sent me this yesterday. It's Bill Simmons talking about Cam Thomas. And to me, it just reeks of you don't watch Cam. I'm not blaming Bill Simmons for not watching the Nets. If you're not a Nets fan, there's no good reason to watch the Nets. If I was a fan of another team, I wouldn't tune into the Nets. But Bill Simmons' comments are pretty passionate, pretty fired up. About Cam Thomas. It just reeks of I've never watched him play before.
To the NBA gods, it's that the Clippers trade for Cam Thomas.
Oh my God.
And then Harden and Thomas get to go bottom and bottom from each possession.
I actually think he's one of the great tanking assets any team's ever had.
He's not that bad.
No.
Okay, are you talking about Cam Thomas?
Cam Thomas.
Oh,
Yes.
okay. I thought you were piling that on James Harden.
Cam Thomas puts up points, keeps you in games. Casual fans think he's amazing.
And ruins your locker room.
You're definitely going to lose if he's your best guy, and he's going to shoot every time he gets the ball. I think it's wonderful to watch. I'm just glad that guys like this still exist in the league. The league was getting pretty saying everyone comes in.
Very cool.
All the swings can shoot threes.
Yeah.
All the point guards play certain ways, and Cam Thomas is like, clear the fuck out. I am scoring.
It's my time.
It's my time. Oh, they don't even send doubles at him because they're like, yeah, go ahead, cook Cam Thomas. Take a shoot.
We'll give you 70, man. It's okay.
I love that. I really enjoyed watching them last night.
So Cam Thomas is the 8th most blitz player in the league off the pick and roll, and he's the 10th most double team player in the league. So statistically, Bill Simmons doesn't know what he's talking about. Statistically, he's wrong. And as a matter of fact, just as of usage rate, his usage rate last year was 10th in the NBA in between Cade Cunningham and Jaren Jackson. So this idea that he takes every shot and never passes the ball is absolutely absurd. He's 10th. Right, just if you look at the Nets roster, where do you want him to be? His usage rate was 30.8, I believe. 30.5. Cade Cunningham was 30.8, and Jaren Jackson was 30.3. I don't know where this comes from. He passes the ball all the time. He's obviously not a pass-first point guard. He's looking to score as well that he should be. When you factor in all those things, how often he's blitzed, how often he's doubled, combined with his usage rate, isn't it kind of where you'd want it to be?
Yeah,
for what the Nets have. Yeah.
You're arguing with Simmons here. You're definitely not arguing with me. I didn't. I sent you that because
No,
I completely disagree.
It just reeks if you don't actually watch him play. And I'm not blaming Bill Simmons for not watching
No, he
the
doesn't.
Nets play.
Listen, if you're a Celtics fan, you're on a very, very high pedestal the last 12 plus months. So if you're like I think I told you, Cam Thomas. Maybe that's one team that he would struggle to get shots on because of who's he's. There's so many players on that team, but yeah, no, he's absolutely wrong. I think Cam Thomas has already passed, in my opinion, he's already passed the Jordan Poole test, where Jordan Poole played alongside Kevin Durant, or did he play with KD and Steph Curry?
Yeah,
All those guys in Golden State. And we found out it's really easy when you're when you're playing next to guys that are drawing two players at once, even if they're off the ball, as two or three guys are chasing Steph running around the court. It's easy for Jordan Poole to play basketball. We found out when he went to Washington and played next to Kyle Kuzma, we saw what the real Jordan Poole looked like. Cam Thomas, when he was a rookie, played with Kevin Durant, Kyrie, played with superstars, and he looked good against other bench pieces. It was exciting to see. But last year he passed the Jordan Poole dummy test of it's your night. There were nights where Mikal Bridges didn't have it going, and again, if teams are not in fear of Mikal Bridges, it's not Kevin Durant or Steph Curry we're talking about it. Cam Thomas proved last year throughout a whole season, and he's proven again this year that he's a legit NBA scorer. Doesn't matter what defenders on him. Doesn't matter, like you said, if he's getting double teamed or they want to blitz pick and rolls or they want to have the big man catch him because he's not shooting it well. He'll find a way to attack, and he does. He's got strength for his size. He had a couple finishes last night where he's like, for a 6'3", he's putting his body into people and finishing through contact. Not expecting a call, just knowing what to do with his body, knowing how to finish around the rim.
yeah, he's kind of built like a tight end, right? Like he's not really built like a typical basketball player. He's got thighs and his legs are strong. His upper body is strong. He doesn't have that kind of swimmer's body, he's slow. It's not built for speed, obviously. He's not above the rim guy, but he uses it to get in the paint and to finish.
He's not a guy that when you play on back-to-backs and your body's sore that you're looking forward to guarding to the next night. Like you're getting one into your body and it's going to be strenuous. It's not a guy running off of screens chucking threes in your face. You're in for a long night at the office if you're guarding Cam Thomas one-on-one or at all in the game.
Yeah, and I'm not going to compare him to Carmelo Anthony as a scorer, but it's like what Carmelo Anthony did to you, right? He just, physically punish you and make you not want to play defense anymore because of how physical he was. And I'm not comparing.
Melo could bruise you before you even catch the ball. He would battle with his body and piss you off just to catch it where he needed to catch the ball and then be one dribble or zero dribbles away from an unstoppable shot. Yeah, that was a pain.
So the next thing I want to talk to is when I say Cam should get $35 million or will get $35 million. I want to put this 2 years ago, Jordan Poole got 32. IQ got 35. Emmanuel Quickley got 35. Jalen Johnson got 30 million. Jalen Green got 35 million. Trey Murphy got 28 million. Cam's going to be a restricted free agent next year. They were rumors and discussions that the Nets were ready to offer him a Nick Claxton type deal, 4 for 25. Did Sean Marks wait too long by not offering him that contract? Is it going to cost them millions and millions of dollars and additional cap space, when he has to re-sign him this upcoming offseason?
If Cam exceeds my expectations and is probably closer to what you think he was going to do this year, probably. But the one reason why, and I'll counter argue myself and say no, is because unlike everyone you just named, that's kind of the hot commodity now in the NBA, right? So remember when it was Taylor Decker and all those big guys that could shoot threes from far away, and they all got overpaid years, and Chandler Parsons and every other name because it looked like they reminded them of someone else and thought they would be the next ones to do it. And you're seeing the same wave right now. The hot commodity in the NBA is the 6'7" to 6'9" wing that can finish at the rim, shoot an elite corner three, defend multiple positions. If you even smell like that, they're going to give you $40 million. You know what I'm saying? You just named who's the guys you just named? Jalen Johnson, Trey Murphy.
Well, it was Jalen Johnson. You got guys like Green and Quickley that got paid.
Okay, yeah, that too. I mean, Quickly's a great scorer. I don't think it's going to work out for the Raptors, but I mean, yeah, Cam Thomas, I think is going to get paid. But what I was saying, the one thing that kind of helps the Nets is he's not a Jalen Johnson and he's not a Murphy in terms of like you can't just pencil him in on a rotation and say play. You can't just, the Celtics can't trade for him tomorrow and put Cam Thomas in the starting lineup and everything's going to go well. You know what I'm saying? He's not that type of puzzle piece. He fits on specific teams, and you will need to not build a lineup around him. But like I said, you can't have a Steph Curry necessarily next to a Cam Thomas and expect to win a champ. You know what I'm saying? There's certainly detriments to his games that would turn certain teams away that are already built around specific stars and already have 45 shots going to 2 or 3 superstars, where it wouldn't necessarily make sense to sign Cam unless you got him on a sixth man type of contract coming off the bench. But for a starting position right now, he's on one of the best rosters in the league to be on. This is best suited for Cam and vice versa. And the Nets are probably, and it's best for the Nets, it's best for Cam right now for this roster and where they are in their timeline.
So then I'm going to ask you, like, I just gave those Jalen Green, $35 million a year, Jalen Johnson, 30, IQ, 35, Murphy, 28, Jordan Poole, 32.5. If you had to guess, now next year projected as of now, there aren't a ton of teams with cap space, which I think is the hand that Sean Marks is playing. Is there's no one out there that's going to offer him the money because the cap space is tight this next year. So I'll just match whatever the highest offer is. I'm not asking you for a team. I'm just asking you for a number, a ballpark. What do you think? What kind of contract do you think he will be offered next offseason?
I mean, that's basically asking me how I think he's going to play this year. Because if he looks good with this roster, he's 40 million plus. That's and he'll probably get it, and he'll deserve to get it. Because if you could score 25 points a game efficiently with Zaire Williams and Dennis Schroeder next to you, you're going to get paid. Bottom line, it's way more impressive than what Jordan Poole did in Golden State. This is a same thing when people watch, when you watch Jalen Brunson in the playoffs, and he had back 2 40-point games in a playoff series when Luka was out to win, like that actually happened. That's not fake, and that's not lucky to score 40 points versus the Utah Jazz, who had a great defense at the time in the playoffs. So if he's scoring 25 over 82 games against NBA defenses night after night, again with where he is clearly the guy where defenses are focused on, that's tangible evidence right there. That's he's gonna get. We're no longer guessing anymore like I was this offseason. That's tangible evidence. But if he, shits the bed a little bit and is a 29% 3-point shooter at the end of the year and is just a weakness on defense, over and over, then he's closer to that Jordan Poole money. Then it's closer to 30, 35. But it's obviously trending closer to the what I mentioned first.
Which seems to be, if you could have got him this past offseason, this one that just passed, for $25 million a year, what they offer Claxton is, to me, that's just it. Look, this is still a business. You lost Bridges, okay? You have one piece of kind of attractive commodity on your shelf, and that's Cam Thomas. If you let Cam Thomas walk, your 10 season ticket holders are also going to walk. Your jersey sales are going to be zero because there's not a player you want to watch or a jersey you want to buy, right? So they need to keep Cam Thomas. Do you kind of agree with that assessment? Like, Cam Thomas is definitely going to be a net for the foreseeable future, the next year or two for sure.
Yeah, outside of the unforeseen happening and him having a just terrible season out of nowhere, yeah, you would think so. You were definitely right a couple months ago when that contract was rumored that's the best commodity, and there was too much upside to say no. And it's not like you're turning away, you're looking away another superstar that's on your team for Cam Thomas. It's either Cam Thomas or what. So it's even if you were to somewhat swing and miss on the contract at 25 to 30 million and he wasn't the player you thought it'd be, you owe no one else the money right now. There's a minimum on the salary cap. So yeah, if you're comfortable giving Nick Claxton that much money, who can't put the ball in the hole, there's only so much upside with him offensively. I would think you take the swing with a guy that can score 25 or 30 a night against anyone at ease.
If you're asking me, right, what would I get? I'd give him. I'd try to do 35 a year, so 140 million over 4 years. But I would try to front load it, right? I try to put the money the first 2 years of his contracts, and it descends. The reason I would try to do that is in case I get Ace Bailey. And it's really not working with Ace Bailey, right? Like, it's just not working because Cam is still hoisting up too many shots. It's easier to trade him with a descending contract, right? Where if he's only making $30 million the last 2 years, I pay him 40 the first two. It's easier to trade him. The cap goes up every year. He makes less every year. Is that kind of the best option? I understand that there's risk involved in Cam Thomas, especially when you're rebuilding, right? Because he's not a guy that you can just plug and play anywhere like some of the other names that you do have to kind of build an offense around him. The concern, I would think, from the Nets organization is if we get Cooper, we get Ace, what if he doesn't fit together? Now we're tied to him for $30+ million a year for the first developmental years of that guy's career.
I just don't see there's any way that's not working. And if you ask a coach like Jordi Fernandez, like, hey, would you want Cam Thomas and take the risk that doesn't work with Ace or whoever we're going to bring in? Like, he's an offensive weapon. Offensive weapons who demand attention. And like when Cam Thomas gets the ball, if he's a 25-point a game scorer, when he gets the ball next year, there's going to be 10 eyes on him. Everyone on the defense. That's only going to help a rookie. That's only going to help a rookie. He doesn't have to be, Chris Paul, helping Wembanyama. It doesn't have to be like, I'm not saying don't get a veteran point guard to help the rookie next year. I'm not saying that. I'm saying having a guy who's a threat offensively is only going to help the rookie, whoever it is. I don't care who it is. I don't care if it's the first pick, the sixth pick, the seventh pick. Like, it only is going to help the rookie. And if they're two brothers that can't be on the court at the same time, fine. Like there's not enough talent to say no to one, and like Cam can come off the bench then and cry about it, or the rookie. There's plenty of minutes to go around. There's plenty of shots to go around. Next year, I think you just get Cam in the building. You don't want Ace Bailey with nobody around him.
Agreed.
That's so much worse. That's so
Agreed.
much worse. You want talent. You want as much talent as you can. And shout out to Bill Simmons for what he said. If Cam Thomas, if he's right about Cam Thomas being a tank guy this year and being able to score 25 a game and not win games, fine. But bring that talent back with whoever is coming in next year and have it help that rookie.
The Simmons argument that he's a tank piece, it's like, is Cade Cunningham and Jaren Jackson tank pieces, or were they just in really bad offenses where they had to take all the shots, right? Like, I feel like it's just really unfair to take. Of course, Cam Thomas is going to take the rest of your shots. There's not a guy that can score 20 points a game in the Chinese Basketball Association on your roster. Like, what do you like? Who? Yes, he's going to take the shots. I think it's just a real like. No one says that about Cade Cunningham. No one says Cade Cunningham shoots all the time and never passes the ball. Like, you kind of understand the offense that he's in. It's just really unfair to me the way that Cam gets characterized as that.
Again, I think people, especially of that generation, just like, I don't think my dad would like Cam Thomas either. He'd just be like, he doesn't pass the ball enough. Like, my dad didn't like Julius Randle because he just looks like he thinks he just puts his head down and goes to the basket.
Let me ask you a question. Julius Randle's first year with the Knicks, when the Knicks were trash and he was clearly their best player, what did you want him to do? Right? I mean, he had to do that.
No, I know. I don't know. It's just people like Bill Simmons would probably be like, why don't you just run the triangle offense and get more ball movement and player movement and blah 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 and get the best shot for Zaire Williams in the corner, and again, I'm not saying the triangle offense wouldn't work. People still run concepts of that today, but yeah, there's a mix of analytics and offensive scheme. But yeah, I think that was just an ignorant take from a Celtics fan who, again, is very, very high on the pedestal after winning a championship and having another loaded roster. It's really easy to say anything if you're Bill Simmons right now.
I've never seen any of my three teams, the Mets, Jets, or Nets, win a championship. Not old enough to have seen any of that, but I imagine if they did, I'd have some inflated sense of worth too. So I can only guess though. I don't know from experience.
Absolutely.
I got two other questions, and I was on Nets fan Breezy's podcast yesterday after the post game, and I got a lot of heat for saying this, and I wanted your take. It's net related, and it might be Cam Thomas related, but there's rumors linked that the Nets are interested in trading and extending Kuminga. Would it be a possibility that they would pay Kuminga instead of Cam Thomas? And do you think Kuminga would be worthy of a similar $35 million a year contract?
We talked about this, didn't we?
We had a conversation about Kuminga when the Nets were trying to trade for him, when it was rumored that was Cam Johnson for Kuminga.
Yeah, I'd be all in on Kuminga. I'd be all in on Kuminga. I mean,
Yeah, that's
would
what
want
I
both
said,
of
and I
them.
took a lot of heat from the rest of the panel on that.
No, I would want Kuminga and I would want Kuminga and Cam Thomas. I also don't see why you would have to choose one or the other. Who else?
It's simple. Like, you don't have enough money. You do, but like in theory, you could pay them both $35 million. But I'm saying if you had to choose because of dollars, would you take Kuminga over him?
I don't know. I'd have to watch more Kuminga. That's tough. That's tough. I mean, Kuminga, like I said, would probably fit into. It goes back to that what I said earlier about Cam. He would probably fit into just any random NBA team, right? Better than a Cam Thomas would. So if you're worried about chemistry or you're getting a rookie in plus a new star you're going to pay next year, Kuminga would fit in better with that mold. Especially if he develops his outside shot and is that rim protecting, is big time finisher, and if he could shoot the three well. I don't, that's tough. I just want both, Gary. I mean, you put me in this corner with Devontae and Redick, and I want both, and I got both. So I want both.
Yeah. If I would love to have both too. The kind of concern that the other Net fans expressed was like, look, Kuminga is not a number one scoring option. If I had a number one scoring option, if I had Jalen Brunson, if I had Zion Williamson or Luka, then yeah, I'd give him $35 million. But you're paying Robin when you don't have Batman, was kind of the analogy that we used. And I guess it made sense to a degree, but with the Nets, I'm at the point where your team is so bad, just get good players that are available to you. Jonathan Kuminga is a good player with a tremendous upside. I would give him that kind of contract.
100%, I'm with you. I mean, they did a good job of doing that this offseason. They brought in a lot of, talent that they're going to see what they can do.
The last question I wanted to ask, again, slightly related, just 2 games in, so very small sample size, but your first impressions of Jordy's offense and his defense. I mean, look, we can't get too carried away with the results, and the Nets simply don't have the horses to compete in this race. But given what they do have, how the offense looks, the defense, the energy level, how would you grade out Jordy Fernandez in this very small sample size?
I love what I see on offense personally. I think I texted you this. There's a lot of player motion, a lot of ball movement and player movement where with this type of team, especially when Cam Thomas is off the floor, you absolutely need that to score. This unlike most NBA teams, this is not LeBron James and Anthony Davis, and you can just spam pick and rolls every possession and have a very effective offense like this. There needs to be coaching and there needs to be a scheme to get guys open and to get guys with a half a step on the defender or a guy closing out. And there's a lot of player movement and ball movement with that, which I appreciate. The defense at times first night looked a little too intense with Claxton and then Cam. There was an exciting couple minutes there with some intensity. I think they're going to be a good hard-nosed defensive team. These are all most of the guys on their team are playing for money. And when you're playing for money and you're playing for a contract, you're going to put your best foot forward defensively. And like I said, that's effort and focus, and that's what you can control. And I think especially with the rookie coaching staff, if you don't play defense on a team like this, you won't be in the rotation the next night. It's so easy when you're not guaranteed minutes, and if you can't do that, it's like we're going back to high school. You don't want to box out. You don't want to defend. Johnny will play for you, Joey. You're gonna sit down next game, and that's the type of team they have right now. It's any given night. It can be we don't know who the leading scorer is behind Cam, and we don't know who might start on the wings that night or who's gonna get their minutes.
You use an interesting term there that I don't think is taught anymore. Boxing out. That is a lost art of basketball. You get point guards, 6'2" point guards jumping in and getting 10 rebounds because no one boxes out anymore. It's frustrating for me to watch, right? Because as a fairly unathletic white kid, I had to box out. Otherwise, I was going to look bad. And it's just kind of like a lost art now. So it's frustrating. I point it out all the time. It's just frustrating to watch. I don't know what, as a basketball coach, a basketball mind, I'll let you go last question. Why is boxing out not really utilized or taught anymore? When I see it, I like jump for joy. Is it just that there's such hyper athletes now that just
You could say the same thing about defense at times in the NBA.
Yeah.
Like I watched the opening night Nets or Knicks and Celtics. Not only did the Celtics shoot 63s, but so many were wide open. You could have had a cup of tea before you shot the ball. Where in a playoff series, you know that's not happening. You just know that's not
Yeah.
happening. So why is the effort? Like why do we allow players making 30, 50, 60 million dollars to just not give effort, both on defense and boxing out? Yeah, it's the same thing. It's like maybe it's a layman's, it's somewhat of an agreement amongst the players. Like, yeah, we won't hurt each other, because I see it at what happened to the when guys used to go for the rim, and you were taught a lesson like, yeah, you're not coming in this paint anymore. I'm not saying to get a flagrant foul, but when you foul a guy twice and he ends up on his ass, that player no longer wants to. He's gonna Steve Nash dribble around the backside and and look for a better shot again. And that's just so many times when a guy's a half a step, you see a guy run by him or try to block him, and if they can't, they won't touch a guy or hit him on the back of the head. It's just, yeah, it's just bad basketball, and there's no excuse for it. If you go watch college, I love watching college more than the NBA personally. Teams box out, everybody boxes out. A shot goes up, a guy will box out on the 3-point line. A guy will put a bot. They'll send a guy out of bounds. Like there's certain intensity, especially with certain teams like Quinnipiac and the MAC. They every year they lead offensive and defensive rebounding, their ratings, everything. Their whole practice they clearly spend boxing out, and every single player does it. And their whole offense and defense is predicated off their ability to box out, their ability to rebound. But in the NBA, it's about 3-point shooting and it's about dunking. I heard someone say this about they're going to change the rules. I've been a fan of this for years, about moving the 3-point line back, because when it was added to the game, it was supposed to be a specialty shot. Like
Yeah.
the ABA, I forgot who said it, but someone said, maybe it was the Knicks coach, that the NBA wouldn't last because this ridiculous league, or the ABA wouldn't last this ridiculous league with a colored basketball and cheerleaders and a 3-point shot. And now that's pretty much all the NBA is about. It's those three things. It's predicated on the cheerleaders in between the commercials and all the hoopla and betting and 3-point, like if you go to FanDuel, it's all about how many threes is a player going to make,
Yep.
how many points is a player going to make, and that's what the NBA wants. They want, if no one scores 40 points a game, no one's going to bet on them, and they're not going to make. It's bad business. So yeah, we could do a whole separate college basketball podcast. I'd probably prefer that.
I appreciate your time, Nate. That was really, really good insight. I always appreciate your takes. Let everyone know where they can find you, and I appreciate you always for coming on.
You can find me wherever Gary is. I'll rebut anything he says sports wise, whether it's on Discord or or another show. But no,
I've gotten
Nate
him a
Tabon
little bit.
Twitter.
I gotten a little bit on the Camp Thomas side. We're pulling him
Yeah,
over.
yeah. No, you got me on the cam boat. Got me on the cam boat. It makes sense for this team and this roster and this money. I'm all in there, 100%. But yeah, I always appreciate you guys having me on, Gary. I'm always available.
All right, y'all. It's October 26th, 2024, from Texas to the world.
Eric, can I
Thank
ask you a
you.
question?
Oh, yeah.
When we speak again, will the Nets have a win?
Yes, they're going to beat Chicago. So if we do this a week from now, the answer is yes. They will have a win. They will beat Chicago. That will be their first one. They're going to lose it to Milwaukee and Denver, obviously, at home, but they will beat Chicago.
Love to
If
hear it.
not, they got Memphis. It's going to get ugly if they can't win that game. It's going to get ugly. It's going to look like 09. All right, Nate. Appreciate your
Go
time.
Nets. See you guys.